Back here on SportsLine, having a great time with our buddy Virgil Herring, PGA teaching professional. We're talking all things golf. Again, great to have you here in studio. We see you every week on Sunday Sports Central with those great golf tips. They're fun, they're entertaining. All right, back to the Open. Jordan Spieth, you say this is his tournament to lose. However, I do believe you're not predicting him to win. Who are some of the other guys that could contend at St. Andrews this weekend?
Well, they're starting to become a recipe over there, which the people, Americans, are going to the Scottish Open the week before, get acclimated to the temperature, the time, and the style of golf, because it's kind of hard to go from carrying all of your shots over bunkers and carrying it onto the green to all of a sudden now you're trying to run it around bunkers and not even landing the ball on the green. You may even try to miss a green to have an easier chance to make par. It's a totally different mindset playing links golf. So Ricky Fowler won the Scottish Open last week. 3 years ago, Phil Mickelson won the Scottish Open, then won the Open Championship. McIlroy played really well, almost won last year, and then won the Open Championship. Ricky Fowler wins this year. He finished second last year. Ricky Fowler's a really good pick. Yeah, how close is he? I mean, he is so close to winning that elusive major. Yes, he is. I mean, he won the Players' Championship, right, earlier this year? Won the Players' Championship. I mean, that's kind of like the fifth major, isn't it? The unofficial fifth major. I mean, this is a guy that I root for. I love watching him golf. I like his attitude. I like the way he dresses. The whole deal. I mean, this guy is this close to getting over the hump, isn't he? This really could be the weekend for him. This could be, because he's a great links player. Once again, you have to draw the ball well at St. Andrews to play well. It's out of bounds to the right the whole way around the place. Okay, so you can't afford to miss it right, which is why Tiger, in my opinion, is not even worthy of conversation to win. But it's him. Sergio Garcia drives the golf ball well and draws the golf ball well. Justin Rose is a person who could win here. Henrik Stenson could win here. So those are the names that I see on the short list to win. Obviously, the last time it was played here, Louis Oosthuizen won. He just lost by 1 in the U.S. Open. So has every right to feel like he has a chance to defend his St. Andrews. He's kind of that guy that just kind of surfaces every now and then, right, at a major. I mean, he's been a great player for a long time, but it just, you look up at the leaderboard, it's like, oh, there's Louis Oosthuizen. No, he's in contention again. And it's really because in the last 15 years, the game has been dominated by one person or another one person. Right. It's been Tiger for a long time, and then it was Rory, and then it was Tiger again, and then it was Rory, now we got Jordan Spieth. And when those guys are winning, there's really nobody else, there's nothing else happening. They're so dominant. So we don't think of anybody else outside of those names. Like, even for those 12 years that Tiger was so dominant, Mickelson won like 30 times. And yet when you think about that era, you don't think about Mickelson. You think about Tiger and how many times he thrashed Mickelson. And at the end of it, Mickelson got a little bit of revenge. When you look at the record, it's like Tiger's crushed him. Yeah, it's a rivalry, much like hammer versus nail is the rivalry. All right, let's get into it. I know our buddy Philip doesn't want us to talk about Tiger, but we're going to talk about Tiger Woods. Look, we were talking about this off the air. It was almost 15 years ago that he was at his dominant best. We're coming up on 10 years since he's won a major. Seven years. Okay, 7 years. So over 5, like heading towards 10. To me, this whole thing about, well, I don't watch golf unless Tiger's in contention. Well, then you haven't watched golf in a long time, and maybe the sport doesn't need you. And I appreciate what Tiger Woods has done for the game of golf. I really have. Okay? Personally, I have issues with him, right? But he's brought a lot of eyeballs to the sport. Television ratings, revenues, everything's gone up because of this guy. But, and this is just my opinion, this longing for Tiger to be the Tiger of old. That's gone. That's not going to happen. Can he win a tournament here and there? Sure. Could he win maybe 1 or 2 more majors before it's all over? Yeah, maybe. But I think people need to let go that the dominant Tiger, is not going to be around anymore. They need to accept it and let it go. It's over. Just your thoughts. First of all, he will never win again if he doesn't drive the ball better. Ever. I'm talking ever win again. Okay, if he starts to drive the golf ball somewhere in the semblance of play with his driver, he's still one of the elite iron players in the world. Statistically shown, last week he played in Greenbrier 2 weeks ago, he had the closest proximity to the hole of any player on the tour. And it was his closest ever, mind you, which was pretty staggering. I didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, he did play great. Okay, but he doesn't putt like he used to. He certainly doesn't chip or pitch it like he used to. He's not. I mean, compare him to the 2000 Tiger, the 05 Tiger, or the 08 Tiger is ludicrous. But if he can drive the golf ball and he has that one magical week where everything kind of goes and he makes some putts, he certainly can win. I don't see him winning another major championship. I really don't.
I agree.
And I see him probably winning 2 or 3 more times in his career. And I expect his career right now is, in my opinion, mirroring Mike Tyson more than it is anything else.
Yeah.
At first, Tyson was so dominant, it was unbelievable. You couldn't take your eyes off of it. And then he came back after biting the ear off Holyfield. From then on, it turned into almost like a sideshow circus. And that's what Tiger looks like now. At the U.S. Open, it was a circus.
And what's the common denominator, Virgil, right? Mike Tyson, Customato died, the guy that was his mentor, the guy that kept him on track. Tiger Woods, his father dies.
That's exactly right.
And neither one was the same after those deaths, right?
That's exactly right. And I'm absolutely positive that is 90% of what's going on, is that the person who put him on track, the person who built the machine is no longer there to put it back on track again. And obviously he's got some personal issues that I'm absolutely sure play also a role in how he plays.
I mean, you see his
thinks.
press conference yesterday. I mean, he's looked like a guy that's been beaten up by the world over the last 5 years.
That's exactly right.
He doesn't look like that youthful, strong Tiger that we're used to seeing. And he's only 39 years old. He actually looked older than a 39-year-old man.
And I think the thing that should be noted is that the difference between Mike Tyson and Tiger Woods is that Mike Tyson was a boxer who looked rough, acted tough, certainly didn't come across as some type of awesome.
Yeah.
Okay? Tiger Woods portrayed himself as the perfect thing.
He was a cyborg.
Yeah. He was the great dad, the great father, the great husband, the great give back to Stanford even though I didn't graduate, give this, I got my own foundation, I'm helping kids, I'm perfect. Not that he said that, but that's what he put out there.
That's the image that was portrayed.
And not only that, I hit the most unbelievable golf shots with the most intense pressure on me, and I do it every single time. Just watch. And then he'd do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, this guy's unbelievable. And then what we learned is don't hit fire hydrants because it will come crumbling down. And that is really hard for him to overcome. Is that he built this house of cards.
Right.
And when it collapsed,
that perfect indestructible image
became like
was exposed.
It turned into fiction.
Yeah.
And now everywhere he goes, he's almost looking at this. He has to be reminded of how great he was.
Yeah.
And why he's not great anymore, and it always starts at the fire hydrant.
Yeah,
and it's a bad deal.
That's amazing. We got Julie on line 1. We're going to get to her in just a second, but I've talked about this with you before off the air. You know, just going back to the original point, is people say, I won't watch golf if Tiger's not involved. These are the same people that said they wouldn't watch the NBA anymore when Michael Jordan retired.
Yeah.
Look at the NBA now. The Golden State Warriors, they have one of the stars of the future. You know, they're a great team, San Antonio, Golden State, Cleveland Cavaliers. There's an iconic Jordan-type player, maybe not the success that Jordan's had in LeBron James. You know, Kobe Bryant's going to be around maybe for a couple more years. The NBA is as good as it's ever been. It's as popular as it's ever been.
Yeah.
So I feel that golf can be that way, especially when you have 2 young stars like Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy who could be duking it out for the next 10, 15 years.
I agree. And there's so many more in that youthful pile that
Ricky
we're waiting to bust through. Jason Day and Brooks Koepka, all these great players. I think that what makes it difficult, and I say this, I owe almost everything that I have to David Ledbetter for being the person who invented the golf teaching position, and he raised it to a different level. And Tiger Woods came out in an era in which the level of expertise and understanding how to do things, he did it better than anybody's ever done it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I personally owe him, when he won in '97, that's when I graduated, and junior golf exploded. You know, there are so many great players now because of Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Rory watched Tiger.
Right.
You know, Jordan Spieth watched Tiger and like, I'm going to...
It's funny you mentioned '97. That was the year he won the Masters,
That's right. And that's the year I graduated.
Yeah, and then everything just exploded after that.
It was unbelievable. So that's what's going to... I see that again, is that this is a time in which we're coming off of the person who never choked one away. He always closed the deal. He's never lost a major championship while winning going into the final round. He did lose when he was tied with Wei Yang, but he's never lost while winning.
He was Michael Jordan. He was Jerry Rice. He was just
indestructible. So I mean, that's why it's hard to overlook it, because we have people now that, like Rory McIlroy, was winning by 4 going into the final round of the Masters and hits it into the houses and shoots 44 on the back 9 and loses. That Tiger would never do that. So that's why we can't compare Rory to Tiger, because of that, because Tiger never did that. It's just that their careers might look reversed.
Yeah.
You know, Tiger might be having a Rory type moment now where Rory had it early in his career.
All right, one guy we haven't talked about is a buddy that you've coached for a long time, Brant Snedeker, Nashville native.
Yeah.
Get your thoughts on where his game's at right now and maybe what his chances might be. We'll get to that, and we got Julie holding on line 1. Stay there, Julie. We're going to get to you right after the break. Time for another break. Virgil Herring, PGA Teaching Pro, talking golf here on SportsLine. Stay with us.